Hey, what is up, folks? Zerofats here, coming at you on behalf of AdventuresOnTheRiver.com, the site that teaches you how to earn a full-time income using the power of Amazon.com. That's my website. Check it out. It can help you. Anyways, wanted to come at you. One of my viewers asked me this question, and I wanted to try to answer it as best I could. Hi, Zerofats. Love your videos. Just wanted inspiration. What is your story? Can you make a video about how to get financial stability when have little or no money? I found your videos in search for working online at home. All my income is going to rent and bills and literally not having any money after payday. I don't have money to start an affiliate job and be successful. I'm looking for a business venture to make money starting with nothing. This person's asking, hey, I don't have any money. How can I start something without any money? Okay, it was kind of a two-part question, really. They asked for my story, and then they asked how they could get started doing something without any money. Well, let me tell you my story, okay? Back in, this is the short version. Back in 2010, I lost my job. I started getting really sick. I had a good job. I made pretty good money. But I was there for a long time, and I started getting sick. Started having to call in sick a lot because I was getting sick. Before that, my attendance record was really good, but then I started getting sick, and I started calling in sick. So, but you know, you think you build up some kind of equity with your company. You know, you feel like, man, I've been here for a long time. All these people know me. You know, I've got some loyalty with this company. You know, they're gonna be understanding and take me in. No, that's wrong. It's not true at all. Started getting sick. Didn't know why I was getting sick, but I started getting sick a lot, having to call in. Ended up getting fired. And after I got fired, you know, because I was cheap. You know, I was cheap. I didn't want to use my medical insurance to figure out what was wrong with me exactly. I didn't have the extra money. You know, I was trying to support a family. Didn't have the money. My insurance wasn't that good. I didn't have the money to go to the doctor and pay him $80 for a copay, and then, you know, another $500 for a deductible to have all these tests ran and this, that, and the other. And you know, but it ended up getting fired. Still had about, oh man, I don't know, 15 or 16 days of sick time left on my books, but I got fired for calling in sick, but I had all these sick days left. It was funny. So I got fired, and after I got fired, because of my family, I was able to get medical. I was able to get medical through the government, you know, so got free medical. First thing I did, man, when I got fired was I went right to school. I went to my local community college because I'm that kind of person, you know, who just can't stand still. You know, I got to be doing something. Something has to be moving. I have to be executing some kind of plan. That's just the way I am. It's hard for me to sit still. I always have to be executing something. And maybe that was a way to combat panic. You know, that was a way for me to combat panic because I have a family, man. I had a family to support, and here I am. I just lost my job. I'm getting sick. I don't know why. I lost my job. You know, my girlfriend at the time wasn't working. You know, I was the sole provider of my family, so I was a little stressed out, man. And about that time is when I started having panic attacks from getting stressed out. I didn't realize I was having panic attacks at the time, you guys. I was having these panic attacks. I didn't have them when I was awake, right? Because I'm the kind of person that tries to just keep things buried down, and everything's cool. I got it all under control. I got this, right? That's me. That's just my personality. But what happened was I'd go to bed at night, then I'd wake up in the middle of the night not being able to breathe, right? Didn't understand what was going on, man. I thought I was having a heart attack or whatever. Don't remember having any bad dreams or anything, but just waking up in the middle of the night and like in a cold sweat and not being able to breathe. You know, no matter how many breaths I took, I couldn't catch my breath, you know. So go to the ER a few times, 3 in the morning, you know. Figured out I was having these anxiety attacks. That's not what was making me sick from when I lost my job. That was another thing. The panic attacks and anxiety came on from losing my job. But the good thing about it was with that free medical, I was able to get the tests I needed and everything, and kind of figured out that my gallbladder was going bad. My gallbladder was bad. It was only functioning at like 8% or something. So it was going bad. It was making me have these spells where I would get really, really sick, and I didn't know why. One time I thought I would have food poisoning. One time I thought I'd had the flu. I couldn't relate the things together to figure out what it was happening. But anyways, so you know, I got my gallbladder taken out. That helped a lot with that problem. But you know, and also with the anxiety, I'm not into pills, you guys. I don't want to take anxiety medicine and all this bullshit. I'm not into that. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why I was getting anxiety, you know. And what I did was I learned breathing exercises. It sounds stupid, but I learned breathing exercises. My anxiety and that feeling of not being able to breathe, and it was brought on by stress that I was burying down. You know, I buried it down, so I wasn't consciously aware of it being stressed out, but subconsciously my mind was like flipping out because I didn't know where the money was coming from. So I wasn't seeing it, you know what I mean? So anyways, started kind of like figuring out about like meditation and just breathing slowly so you're not hyperventilating, and just ways to calm yourself down mentally and physically, just to calm yourself down, because stress can fuck you up, man. I'm not kidding you. But anyways, so what happened was, so like I said, I got fired. Same day, I applied for my community college, started going to school right off the bat because I needed a plan. Also, I applied for unemployment because I've been in that company for like 7 years. They denied my unemployment. You know, they said they fired me for attendance. I appealed it. They denied it again. I appealed it again. We ended up going to court. And I brought in all this documentation. Look, man, I was sick. I went, here's me going to the ER. Here's me going to this. Here's me going to that. You know, the funny thing is I actually worked at a hospital. I actually worked at a hospital, and I ended up in the ER at my hospital multiple times. I was truly sick. I was supposed to be working like 3 floors above where I was being, you know, taken care of for in the ER. So it was kind of a funny thing. Long story short, I ended up winning my appeal, and I got my unemployment. It was deemed that they didn't fire me for a good reason. I was calling in sick for a very good reason. I was truly sick. I had all this sick time built up. It was my right to call in sick. So they shouldn't have fired me, which was a moral victory. You know what I'm saying? It was a moral victory. And people told me, and I felt validated at that point because I won my unemployment, you know. But I tell you what, they fought it, you guys. They fought it. I didn't win that unemployment for months and months and months. And I had to live off of my 401k, you know, to support my family and everything like that. It was rough, you guys. It was real rough. But I started going to school for business, and about that time I started getting school books, you know. I bought them off my Pell Grant the first time, you know, and then I kind of started figuring out like, holy shit, man, I can get these books a lot cheaper on Amazon, you know, and then I kind of figured out like, wow, I can actually sell my books for a lot more money on Amazon. So then what I did was I started buying my books used on Amazon. I'd go to the bookstore at the college, and I'd write down the ISBN numbers for the books I needed for my class, and I'd go to Amazon and I'd pick those books up, and you know, I'd buy them for like 50 to, you know, maybe 50% of what they were going for at the bookstore. Then I'd turn around and I'd sell them for the same cost because I'd keep them in the same condition. And my school was on quarters at the time, so it was only like, you know, so many weeks. The market might have fluctuated a little bit, but not that much. So basically, that ended up me getting my books for free going to school, which was pretty cool. And that's kind of like how I started getting into Amazon originally, selling my college books back. But then I kind of had this eureka moment because I was at the library downtown and I was studying, and I went over to the used book section and I picked up a few used books. They had this used book sale at the library, you know, and it was like 50 cents for a hardback and 25 cents for a soft cover. And I picked up a few of them, and I was like, out of curiosity, I was like, man, I wonder what these are worth, man. I know what my college books are worth. I wonder what these things are worth. So I got on the internet right there at the library downtown, and I used their library computers and their internet access to look up their books. Man, like maybe 4 or 5 of those books, man, were worth like, oh man, God, I must have walked out there with like $200, $300 worth of books, and I paid like a couple bucks for them total. But it was insane, man. And then the books that were worth money I kept, and the ones that weren't worth money I put them back on the shelf. And after that, at that point, I was like, wow, is this for real? Are these books really going for this? And at that point, man, I didn't know anything about bestseller ranking. I didn't know any of that stuff yet. But I was learning, you know. I took them home and I listed them up for sale, you know, not knowing what would happen. And at the same time I listed them up for sale, I started thinking in my mind, like, can I do this? I mean, could this possibly make money for me? Because I knew the unemployment I was getting wasn't going to last forever, and I wanted to finish my schooling. And I was going to have to either go back to work, or I was going to have to find another way to support my family, you know, once that unemployment ran out. So I ended up learning as much as I could about selling used books, or selling books online, you know. And I started studying Amazon. I started studying the market. I read as much free information as I could find, you guys, because hey, I know how it is out there. I'm cheap. You guys, a lot of you guys are probably like, I don't want to pay for anything. I understand that, you know. Yeah, I'd get as much free information as I could. And then I ran across some people like King Human later on. His YouTube videos were a huge inspiration for me. But no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, I mean, I learned as much as I could about what I was trying to do, and that's the thing. But I started making really good money off of selling used books. Very quickly, I started finding places I could buy used books in bulk. I wasn't really ready for the first time I found a bulk supply of used books, man. I was kind of dabbling around with it. I was going to thrift stores. I was going here, going there, finding used books. Still kind of learning about what books were worth money and what books weren't worth money, when I find this guy on Craigslist who just bought a church. Like I probably told this, you probably heard me tell this story a few times, some of you have. But he just bought this church, and this church, man, it had this church library that came with the church. He was like, I got like, you know, about 1,000 books, $100, you can have them all. You know, that's what his Craigslist ad said. I was like, all right, well, cool. You know, $100 isn't a lot of money. I'm going to go for that and see what I got for 1,000 books. You know, and I called him up, and he said, yeah, bring it on. So I took my van, and I went out there. Oh, he lived out there in BFE, man, in the middle of nowhere. But I was kind of nervous because, you know, you hear about these Craigslist killers and stuff. I'm thinking, dude, I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere. I'm going to go out here and get axe murdered all over some dumb books. But it was legit, man. I went out there. He took me down into the side room of this big church school looking thing. And guys, it was way more than 1,000 books. There was like 3,000 books there. All these church religious books, hymnals, musicals, all kinds of stuff, man. It was unbelievable. I gave him the $100. I loaded my van down. I drove about 15 miles an hour all the way back to my house because this stuff was loading my van down. It was so heavy. And I didn't have room in my house for all these books, you guys. I had no garage. I had no storage place. So I left the books in my van overnight, talked to my girlfriend about it, said, look, man, I got all these books. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. They're just sitting out there loading my van down. So the next day I went out to the storage facility, my local storage facility. I had to find an indoor storage facility. I couldn't store these books outside. But I found an indoor storage facility, and I piled all these books in the storage facility. I mean, I didn't have bookshelves or anything. I piled them in the storage facility as best I could, and then, you know, I set about trying to find bookshelves the day after that, and I pieced together some bookshelves. I found, you know, garage sales and junk shops and stuff, and I ended up getting all the books lined up, and it looked like this kind of big, kind of library-looking thing in the storage unit that I had, and I got them all lined up. Now the next step was figuring out which ones were worth money and which ones weren't, and It was a process. When you got 3,000 books, man, it's a process to go through them all, figure out what's worth money, what's not worth money, what the hell do I do with the ones that aren't worth money. And I mean, there's just a big difference between, you know, going out and getting 4 or 5 books at a time and coming home with 3,000 books all at once, and you don't got nowhere to put them, and you don't know what the hell's going on. So it was quite the education. I probably wasn't ready for that, but the thing about it was I was really ambitious, and I wanted to jump in. And that's a lesson for you guys right there. You know, if you want something, you have to jump. I mean, you have to jump. I mean, you can plan, and it's good to plan, but eventually you just have to jump. And sometimes that's hard for people. You know, it's hard for me. I mean, you always feel like you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not ready. But eventually you just have to go for it. I'm not saying don't plan. Plan as good as you can, but always plan to execute. And that's just how it is. So I executed, and it worked out in my favor. You know, the books made me a lot of money that year. And, you know, filing income taxes that year was hard. You know, it was hard. I'd never done it before, man. I always worked at a job, and I'd always... you know, my income taxes were already taken care of. My company just took the money out of my paycheck. So this was a lot different. Having to file, you know, having to get a 1099 and having to file a Schedule C and doing all these things that you have to do when you have to pay the government money on your business. You know, that it was all a learning experience. So it's not. Here's what's cool about it, right? All right. You might be hearing this story and you might be thinking, God, that sounds like a pain in the ass. But here's what's cool about it. You know, the company I worked for 7+ years, you know, they let me go at the drop of a hat. And they replaced me with someone who's making less money than what I was. And it was like, why did they let me go? I mean, maybe they were just looking for a reason. You know, it's all about the bottom line for them, you know. But here's, you know, what you think. Like, you know, the person who started that company, you know, they took a risk, you know. They took a risk, they started a company, and no one can fire them. Now, all the people who work for them, they can be fired, you know. So, the book business that I created from scratch, from the ground up, right? Like, no one can fire me from that job. I created that job for myself. Now, was it making me as much money as the job I had? No, it wasn't. But also I saw the potential. It was going to make as much as I put into it. You know what I'm saying? The more books I had listed, the more it could potentially make, the more money it could generate. So and I was thinking, oh, okay, this is just a work hard kind of thing. The harder I work and the more I focus on it, the more money it's going to make. Well, I can do that. You have to understand, you know, when you're working with Amazon, you're working with a winning company, a company that has the eye of the world on them right now. So people are looking at Amazon. All you have to do is figure out how to make it work for you. But no, that's what really attracted me to, you know, making money myself, is that no one could fire me. I had complete control over a job that I created, if that makes sense. That's what fueled my fire. The fact that I was fired unlawfully, I was let go when the chips were down for me, that I got terminated, you know. And I figured out, you know, I needed to depend on myself more. I'm smart enough to do it, I need to do it. And if I'm not smart enough to do it, I need to get smart enough to do it. Because I can't depend on these companies anymore to support me or my family. They're going to fucking let you go at the drop of a hat. They'll let you go a year before you're supposed to retire. They do not give a shit. Whatever's going to fix their bottom line, they don't care. There's no loyalty to the employee anymore. And that's not going to get any better with our global economy. So, anyways, that's kind of what happened to me, and losing that job back in 2010 has been the fuel for my fire ever since. And it's been what really drives me to make things work myself, you know. And you know, I got mouths to feed in my family, so you know it's important that I make things work. But I'm always feeling under the gun, man. I'm always feeling like work. I need to see, how can I do this smarter and not harder? Why is this working? Why is this not working? What would work better? You know, there's always that. There's always this. But I feel like that's how you have to be if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur. I mean, if you want to make it work yourself, you always have to be asking those questions. How can I work smarter and not harder? How did it work for this guy? Could I make that work for me? What about this? What about that? Could I explore that? So that's kind of what happened to me. It wasn't that short, but that's kind of what happened to me. Now you're asking in your question, you know, what can you do without any money to start your own business venture? The first thing you have to understand is there's two things going on here. Two things, okay? One is time, and two is money, okay? Now, what is your current job taking away from you, okay? Is it not paying you enough? Well, obviously you tell me in your email it's not paying you enough, you know, because you don't have enough money after you after you get paid and you pay all your bills, you don't have any money left. It's not paying you enough. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But is it taking all your time away too? Because if your job's sucking up all your time and it's not paying you enough, something has to give. Okay? Something has to give. For you to do something, yeah, there are ways to start making money with a business venture without any money. There are ways to do it. But they're going to require your time. Your job, your current job, it can't take all your time and not pay you enough. That doesn't work. You have to change something at that point. Okay? You either have to take back some of your time so you can work on something else, or you need to find a job that pays you a little bit more. Because the problem is, the job that you have right now, it doesn't pay you enough money. You don't have enough money left over to do anything with. After you pay all your bills, you're broke. So what's happening is you're being held down and you're chained. You're strapped down. You're like in a prison right now. You can't move forward. You're paralyzed because your job's not giving you any leverage. You have no leverage. You have no money to do anything with. Now, you could work around that if you had time, because you could use your free time and you could work on something else. But if you don't have time, and your job's taking all your time, and it's not paying you enough, you got to find something else. Okay? So if I was you, and I didn't have any time, and my job was taking all my time, the first thing I'd do is I would look for a job that was paying me a little bit more money, even if it was a couple bucks more. Something that was paying me a little bit more money, and something that was freeing up a little bit of my time so I could work on some of this other stuff. Now let me talk to you about some of this other stuff, okay? I don't know where you're at. I read your email, but I don't know where in the world I don't know like where in America you're at. Everywhere is different. Everywhere is a little different. Around here, you can use a website like Craigslist. Around here, you could use it a lot. You could almost make a full-time income using Craigslist. There are people on Craigslist around here. You could go to the labor gig section and just find people who need their house cleaned, find people who need rides. Hold on a second, I'll get right back, guys. The phone's ringing. Okay, so the phone rang there. I was somebody calling. But we're back now. What was I telling you? Oh yeah, I was telling you about Craigslist. Yeah, man, Craigslist. Man, just the other day I was thinking about Craigslist. I saw a guy on Craigslist who was just looking for someone to take him to the grocery store like once or twice a month. And he had posted an ad on Craigslist. We'll pay $20 a trip to take me to the grocery store once or twice a month. 20 bucks for the trip, you know, and it was just in town driving, you know, and I started thinking about it. I was like, man, there's a job in there somewhere. Like, man, you could probably make a full-time living if you got a car that's decent and dependable. You could probably post ad on Craigslist, post a little ad, you know, just running people to the grocery store. You could probably charge them $20 a trip or whatever it's going to take to charge them a trip. You need to figure that stuff out. If you're going to get into a little job like that, you need to figure out what it's going to cost you in gas, how much time you're going to spend on each trip, because those things matter. You know, it's not worth 20 bucks if it's an hour to go pick the guy up. You got to wait in the car for 2 hours while he's grocery shopping, then an hour to take him back home. That's 4 hours. And it's an hour trip each way for gas. That's not worth $20. So you got to figure out a good business model for it. But the business is there. At least in this neighborhood, the business is there to just run people around. Elderly people, people who don't have rides, just run them to the grocery store to pick up a few things. I mean, the market is there, at least around here. So when I tell you guys Craigslist is powerful, I'm telling you the truth. I mean, Craigslist is powerful. So that's the first thing I'd recommend. If you want to start a business venture and you don't have any money, that is the first stop you should make, Craigslist. Because there are ways to make money on Craigslist. Another way is their free section. Man, you look on Craigslist and their free section, there is always, always, always people just giving stuff away on Craigslist. And it's pretty good stuff. I mean, and in the summertime and in garage sale season, there's always people having these curb alerts. They have these garage sales over the weekend, and they got a bunch of crap that didn't sell at their garage sale, and now they just put it out on the curb, and they put a curb alert up on Craigslist, and this, man, the first person who comes can just have that crap. So you can take that crap and you can turn around and put it back on Craigslist for a profit, and you can make money off of that stuff. I'm not telling you guys this stuff just blowing smoke up your butt. I mean, this stuff works. So that's two different ways you can use Craigslist to make income. The third way was the labor gigs I was telling you about. You know, labor gigs is really cool on Craigslist. People are always putting ads on there to like clean their house, clean their backyard up, do this, do that, just stuff they need, paint my living room. I mean, just crap like that they're willing to pay you like 10 or 15 bucks an hour to do it. You know, so it really kind of depends on your skill set and what you feel comfortable doing. But that's, Craigslist is so valuable. What else besides Craigslist? Well, of course you know about Amazon. You know, I always talk about Amazon. You can get into Amazon for free. Okay, look, you don't need money to start an Amazon business, especially if you want to get into books. Use Craigslist. Look for some of those curb alerts. Look for some of those free section. Look in the free section. You can get a nice stockpile of books for absolutely free. You know, you can put an ad up on Craigslist, you know, picking up used books. If any books you don't want, I'll come and pick them up for free. You can get into that. You can make money off of that. Start posting them on Amazon. Now, that's not quick money, okay? That Amazon thing's not quick money. You're going to have to go get those books. You're going to have to list them. And then you're going to see a return on your investment in about a month or two. About a month and a half, you're going to start seeing money roll in. So it takes time. That's something that you have to kind of nurture and build up. But it's a nice little business venture. You know, in the email you got no money, so I don't want to say, hey, go get a membership to my website because, you know, you're already broke and that costs money. I don't want to make you even more broke. Use some of these free tactics. When you get a tiny bit of money built up, check out my website. I can teach you a lot about selling on Amazon. And I talk about this whole digital, I have this whole digital module on there where I talk about making money off of ebooks on Amazon. That's another great way. Now, the other part of being successful to me, and I talk about it a lot on this channel, is saving your money, learning how to live within 90% of what you bring in. That's so important. So that's the other thing. All the money that you're bringing in, make sure that you're living off of 90%. Okay? But if it's a matter of time and you can't do any of these things, hey, I can't start wheeling people around to the grocery store. I don't got time for that. I'm working, 80 hours a week at my job that doesn't pay me enough money. I mean, if that's what the kind of situation you're in, and you're working all these hours at a job that's not paying you enough, I'm not trying to tell you what to do because I don't know your situation. But if that is your situation, I'm telling you right now, you need to find a different job that allows you more time or pays you more money. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Time is just as valuable as money. And if your job's robbing you of all your time and it's not paying you enough money, that job's got to go. And the only way that job's going to go, the only way it's going to change is if you change it. You have to change it. I mean, God's not going to come down from the sky and change the world for you. I mean, I just don't believe that's going to happen. They say God helps those who help themselves. You know, maybe that's true, maybe that's not true. I mean, I love God, don't get me wrong, but you know, people get cancer, we pray for them, they still fucking die. So, you know, I don't know. Here's what I do know. Maybe God can help you, maybe God can't help you, but I can tell you one thing, you can definitely help yourself. You can help yourself, and you can change it. You know, it's scary, man. It's scary. If you've been working at a job for a while, it's scary to think, oh man, I'm fucking walking away from this job. I'm gonna do something different. Forget it. It's scary, and your mind tries to like talk you out of it. Your mind tries to keep you in that comfortable place that you're used to. But what you got to understand is we as people are adaptable, highly, highly adaptable, and highly, highly capable. We're very, very capable. Okay? All you have to do is walk. Just take that first step and go. Step outside of your comfort zone, because that's the only way you're going to be successful. You know, right now your comfort zone is unsuccessful. Do you know what I'm saying? Unsuccessful. You're not happy with it. No one's happy with it. You know, but the only way to move away from it is to step outside of that comfort zone. You know, we all search. You know, you search and you search and you search. You know, you found this video because you were searching for ways to make money from home. Probably because you hate your job. It doesn't pay you enough money. Maybe it robs you too much of your time. You know, that's good. You're searching. You're searching for the answer. But what you have to remember is you have to execute. You have to execute, execute, execute. You have to step outside of your comfort zone. That's the only way anything's ever going to happen, is if you step outside of your comfort zone. What's stopping you from running people to the grocery store and making a full-time income? You know, if you can run 5 people to the grocery store just around your little town, right? That's $100 a day. 5 people to the grocery store, $20 each. That's $100 you made in the day. That's not a lot of money. You're going to have to take a little bit away from gas. So you got to decide, how does a business plan like that work? Let me write up a business plan. Let me see what I need to charge people to run them around town every day. You can figure it out. It's a viable option for some people, you know. Anyways, I could ramble on and on about this crap, just talking to myself, or talking to you guys, I guess I should say. I can ramble on and on about it. You know, I don't know, my story might have been boring to you, it might have been interesting to you. I got a long version of that story that nobody wants to hear. But the point is, that story is fuel for my fire. Like, that's what keeps me going. That keeps me under the gun. That makes me realize that, like, you know, there's not a job out there I can depend on. But it gives me comfort to know that I'm smart enough to create my own jobs. Because nobody can take that away from you. You know, we're talking about this little hypothetical scenario of running people around your town on Craigslist. You start a job like that, I mean, you have to understand you build that from the ground up, and no one can fire you. I mean, if you wake up one day and you're sick and you don't want to do it, you're sick and you don't want to do it, you know? No one's going to demote you. You know, I mean, the more you do, the more money you make. I mean, and that's just the way it is. The more work you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. You created it. No one can take it away from you. So that's the beauty of it, and that's what keeps me going. Hopefully you've gotten something out of this video. I hope so. You know, if I could inspire you, I will. These are the things I believe in. These are the things I believe. This has been a long-winded video. I apologize. Hopefully some of you will get something out of it. If not, sorry. If so, please like, please share, please subscribe to my channel. I can use all the subscribers I can get. I don't have enough subscribers. If you get a chance and you got a little extra money, adventuresontheriver.com. I can show you all about making a full-time income using the power of Amazon.com. It is a measly $10. Anyways, I'll catch up with you guys next time. Zero Fats signing out. Peace.